What is up, down, and sideways, you beautiful individuals? It is another EP of League Unlock here. And here with you fine folks for the final, the ultimate preview ahead of MSI 2025, because we finally have the games kicking off for Vancouver. I say finally, but it really was less time than we're used to in between a split ending and an international event. And before we get to the actual games kicking off, we've got to first reminisce. Remember the last time we were not just in Vancouver, but at this same Pacific Coliseum venue, 2017 Spring LCS Finals. We were still the NALCS at that point. Yes, there were two of them. 3 Canadians on the stage. We had Smoothie for Cloud9, Wild Turtle, and Biofrost over for TSM. And this is actually a very iconic final series. Not only do we have the infamous MarkZ singing Silver Scrapes on the stage, but it's also the Game 5 series where Jensen maybe forgets to press the Ekko ultimate.
Oh, babe. I'm no question that there is a lot of people that know of the MarkZ Silver Scrapes type of moment. A couple of them might not know exactly where it was from. It might have been before their time within the League of Legends scene. So yes, welcome to Vancouver. This is our Silver Scrapes karaoke, if you will. And then, of course, on top of it, you had the thrilling series between Cloud9 and TSM that ends up in one of the most infamous moments in LCS LCS history, of course. Thank you for the reminder. Jensen forgetting to make sure he hits the Ekko ultimate in the big time mistake. And yes, we are back. The crowd will be there. I'm very excited for this MSI.
Yeah, and that's the last time we had an event in Canada. Obviously, we're denied one of the World semifinals a couple of years ago. This is sort of the makeup for it. But yeah, we're talking 16,000 seats that are at this venue. And if you were trying to get tickets, they were selling out quick. So expecting great atmosphere for it. Excited to be back in beautiful Vancouver, and we already got the teaser video drop in, which we'll get to a little bit later. But good to see the return there, and lots to lead up to, or expectations to have if you're basing it on that 2017 spring final. But again, the full preview heading into this one, we're going to do some rapid fire, just going through some, you can call it this or that, or what we think, how we think this is going to play out, and we're going to fire through some of them for you, Mark. We'll start with an easy one that's overall arching for the entire event. Are you going Gen G, because they're the overall favorites for sure, Gen G, or are you taking the field? If you're taking the field, that means the perfect run for Gen G is coming to an end.
With the field here, and I want to be very clear about this one. It's nothing about Gen G. It's nothing about them choking the history, all these sorts of things. It has to do with how complete and competent I feel the rest of the field is, how competitive they will be, and that it is almost impossible to envision a world where it is that perfect streak going. I can understand it. It's not unrealistic to tell me that you believe that this perfect Gen G can make that run, can stay at that clean record throughout this event. It's going to take some hero type of levels of play from this Gen G team to make it all the way through all of these impressive squads that we also have at MSI.
Herculean, I got you. I see where you're going. I saw the path there. So after that, you're going, okay, well, Gen G staying undefeated then. If you had to say the most pressure or most riding on them to perform at this event, you might say Gen G, being, the perfect overall favorites. I think the team with the most pressure to actually perform well is actually FlyQuest, which sounds insane to pick a North American team to do that. But number one, the only representatives coming. And number two, you had such a good showing at Worlds last year and such a disappointing showing at MSI. You were so dominant in North America. I need some series wins and some competitive series against some of the top teams at this event. Otherwise, you're fading even further into the background as NA.
And I'll jump in on that one with FlyQuest being the team that will face the most pressure at this event to actually perform, to succeed against expectations because of that added pressure, that combined weight, not just Canada, the rest of North America in on this one for where you want to see our team perform at home in this type of scenario. This is what the pressure will be there for these guys, and even a little bit more so. Maybe not, necessarily deserved, but picking up some of the slack that is left from where Team Liquid finished at the first stand event.
So they might have the most pressure or weight on their shoulders, but that doesn't necessarily mean, North America doesn't have a great history when there's pressure or expectations on them. So then we go best performing Western team. Is it FlyQuest? Does Koi keep that playoff form, or does G2 return to that international level where they're 3-0 in top esports?
My heart is telling me FlyQuest. I don't know if I'm going to stick through with that one, because I do think that both of the options from EU present an interesting challenge for some of these teams at MSI, and what they are going to be prepared for, and what they have leveled up themselves looking at G2 and Movistar Koi since we last saw them. That's going to be one of those big questions, and we're going to get pretty good answer early on from G2 just a little bit later today. But I'm very much so in the thought that I think that this FlyQuest team is very strong and is going to have that best opportunity, and thankfully going straight through, avoiding any of this play-in action.
Yeah, with their history, it's good to be not taking part in this play-in stage, a bit of action. So if we always have, a rookie, Scumon's a rookie coming in here, obviously. We had Honkyu, a rookie at first stand. But if we're looking at best performance for an international rookie, these are guys who have been around, maybe in the pro scene, but it's making their international debut. So obviously there's a couple guys on Furia, Scumont you can throw in there. Then we've got guys like Shanks, Kael, Beishuan, and Duro all making their international debut. Who's the standout in their first ever INT event?
I'm gonna go with Duro as my player, as my rookie to watch here on the international stage at this point. I think for a lot of people, he's someone you've heard quite a bit about, of course, with Gen G success. This whole these mega star players. How would this young player fit within? Would he have any type of influence, flavor towards the team? And I think you have seen that throughout this bottom lane for Gen G, and especially with them becoming more of a factor, more of that thing that they are relying upon to be a win condition for the team. You're seeing more of Duro's own individual skill come through, his synergy alongside Ruler. These are all things that have developed, and I think that it's really good to get a good international sneak preview of it before we get to Worlds.
Yeah, and we've seen his mechanics really be showcased. He's a guy who spent a lot of time in the challenger scene. He's not as fresh a rookie, 17 years old coming out or anything. He's in his early 20s, so he's been around at least for a couple of years before getting that bump up. I'm excited to see Shanks match up against some titans of the mid lane. Let's be honest, Chovy Faker Knight is about as titanic as an international trio you can get. But Shanks has more than proven he's a top-tier mid laner in the LPL. I think we saw Cream at times internationally show that the hype was warranted for him. Excited to see Shanks get that opportunity, and I think he knocks it out of the park. A couple more little fun ones, an easy pick for, if I were to say, highest KDA at the end of this event. I think Chovy is the obvious one to say, but anyone else you think is going, not deathless, of course, but dying very limited amounts?
I'm going to take a bit of a risk on this one. I'm going to throw down Faker for this one with the highest KDA. I know that's a very risky one. Sometimes based on the performance, and sometimes just strictly off of the attention, the focus that he will, of course, receive in that mid lane. Everyone looking to shut him down, get their, historic kill on the greatest player of all time, whatever it is. I'm feeling something special. I think the way that he played leading towards this event, the mojo around T1, I'm feeling like he can come through and dish out some clean performances.
If Faker's rocking the highest KDA, T1 is going deep in this tournament because, he is a guy who's usually not even the highest KDA on T1 because he's a team first kind of guy. So maybe he gets a little selfish at this event. Last one, most likely player to get a pentakill, number one, and number two, how many pentas we having at this event. And to go back to last year, we only had one at all of MSI, and it was Pays during that insane 28 kill Kalista game.
Yeah, and I'm telling you guys, number one, we're getting more. We're having some more. Fearless draft, the meta, all sorts of things. I think that we are absolutely poised to have an explosion of this one. And again, an explosion from one isn't all that much. So I'll go off the board. I'll say we're going three, not
Oh,
doubling. We're going all the way to three. We're tripling the amount of pentakills we're seeing at this event. And I think one of the reasons why is a guy called Knight in the mid lane. Have you seen what he has been doing to the local solo queue out there in Vancouver, demolishing
averaging like 30
kills,
kills a game. Oh my God.
90 plus kills over 3 games. What is going on? He is ready for some pentakills. I'm betting on seeing some of that action.
Yeah, and if you watch the teaser video, my man seems angry. Runner up in LPL finals, runner up last MSI. That's not enough for the golden left hand, and I'm scared for anyone matching up against them in the play-in stage. And spoilers, they're right there on day one. First time we're seeing Knight Knight himself in the play-in stage. They're obviously matching up against GAM, G2 against Furia from the, I was going to say CB LOL, LTA South for day one action in the play-in stage. Any chance BLG or G2 drop the ball on opening day?
2%. 2% chance.
For both of them?
It can happen for G2, not for BLG. I think this
They're
BLG
0.2%.
is going to be very strong, and it's nothing against GAM in that type of sense. I just feel like maybe G2, maybe the history with Brazil comes into some of this factor of why, and you don't have the 100% confidence that you do.
Sure.
I do have that with BLG right now with what we have seen from them, how they're playing, and as I talked about, predicting Knight with a pentakill. I think a couple of these games can get a little bit crazy, a little bit out of hand with the Gigabyte Marines trying to throw anything at this BLG Titan team. So I think we could see one real early here first day.
Now, Levi did have, someone probably gave it to him, but absolutely killer line in this teaser saying, directly to Knight, you remember my name though, right? Shout out to 2022 GAM taking down top eSports in a crazy game, massive upset. So, Levi's got the trash talk. GAM, they look confident coming in, and that's the thing with this event is all these teams have dominated their regions. They were coming from being the top dogs, or at least top dogs adjacent for a squad like GAM, who obviously lost to Flying Oyster. But your confidence is at an all-time high, but you're going up against all these world beaters from these major regions. And I feel like the first day is honestly some of the biggest impact, how quickly you get beat down. If even GAM takes a game off of BLG, I'm feeling great about them beating Furia, at least in their matchup for what you would assume would be losers.
It's kind of like a boxer talking all that trash before the fight and then getting hit with the first, big haymaker from the opponent, and it stumbles them. And then it's, how do you respond? How do you get back? What's your next action after taking that first lick of pain, that first hit from your opponent? That's going to be a question for a lot of these teams. What is your composition? What are you made of? How much can you be stressed and pushed at these points is something you're going to see. And as well, how quickly can you lock in? How can you be so laser focused in that moment and executing to your ultimate level? That's going to be another skill level that is tested at the ultimate level for these teams going up against whatever the competition is going to be here. Again, as you laid out, the beaters, the champions, the dogs of their region are all here for MSI.
At the very least, there's no real warm-up. We're just right into best of fives. There's no round robin best of one. You're just right there in the marathon, even if they end up being 3-0s. I think at least one of Furia or GAM are taking a game in some of these series. There's a lot of outside factors. You're in an uncomfortable environment. You're with jet lag still with some of these teams getting acclimated to the new environment, even though the air is so crystal clear over in Vancouver. There's still going to be some adjustments, but super excited to be right into best of fives, and play-in stage is going to be a blur. It's just 3 days. By the end of the weekend, it's going to be over. So, we'll be there on Monday basically recapping the whole stage.
It's going to be rapid fire throughout this play-in stage. Do yourself a favor if you're in town for it. Grab a sandwich, go to Stanley Park, have a great picnic type of time. Go check out some good games and some incredible League of Legends action. I hope we're going to have a wonderful weekend here to kick off MSI.
lots of fire beaches to check out around Vancouver. So yeah, if you are visiting, make sure you take the time to enjoy that. But that is it today for League Unlocked. Eric and Mark here with you. Absolute beauties. Thanks for hanging out, and we will catch you on that flippity flip.